Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. नाना शास्त्र विचारनिका निपनो सद्धर्म संस्थापको. हरे कृष्ण. लोकानां हितकारिणौ त्रिभुवने मान्यो शरण्याकरौ राधा कृष्ण पदारविंद भजनानंदेन मत्तालिकौ वंदे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्री ग्रीव गोपालकौ. So we are studying Deshamrut, which is taking us from the in 9 stages of bhakti. The 11 shlokas, first 3 shlokas made us understand Shraddha, then the 3 shlokas about Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajan Kriya, then Asakti, and this last part about Bhava and Prema. Vadha vegam manasah krodha vegam jivha vegam udarapastha vegam etan vigananyo visheta dhira sarvam apimam prithivim sashishya. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Atyahara prayasashcha prajalpa nihamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhakti vinashyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. Utsahat nishchayat dhairyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat satorutte shadvir bhakti prasiddhati. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to the regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following in the footsteps of the previous Acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Tadati pratigrihnati guhyamakhyati pritchati bhungte bhojayate cha eva shadvidim priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Krishneti yasya giritam manasandriyeti digshati cha eta pratibhihi cha bhajantam ishamah shushrusaya bhajana vidyanam ananya anyam ninda adi shunya rudam ipsitam sangalapya. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Kṛṣṇa. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Dushtah swabhav janitaihi vapuhucha doshena aprākṛta-bhāva iha bhakta janasya pashyeta ganga ambasam na khalu budbudafena pankah brahma dravatam apagacchati niradharmah. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook devotees having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles and mud. The Ganges waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bath in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. Sat Krishna Namacharit Adi Sitapi Avidya Apitto Taptarasya Narochikanu Into Avadaradu Unudinam Khasa Eva Jushta Swadavi Kramadvati Tadgad Mulahantri. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendentally sweet love candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of their ignorance cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue. This disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Rupacharitadi Sukirtana Nusmrutyah Kramen Rasanamasi Niyojyah Tishtat Vrajetad Ragi Jananugami Kalam Na Etak Alam Iti Ubdesha Saramah. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time 24 hours a day in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Golok, Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna. Seva Viveki. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Raslila pastimes, and superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Śrī Kṛṣṇa and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Śrī Rādhā-kuṇḍa stands supreme, for it is overflooded with ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Rādhā-kuṇḍa, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilikam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadaltika Valdeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamlam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ratnanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauramani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So yesterday, after having seen how to identify Dham, how to see Dham, and we move to the level wherein we start understanding in this particular shloka about the different kinds of human beings and who amongst them is the best. So just like as yesterday we saw with scriptural injunctions, who is the best and why it is the best. Similarly, today's shloka gives us an opportunity to understand about the different kinds of human beings and identifying the best amongst them. And that is why this particular shloka becomes important. Karmibhya paritah hare priyataya vyaktim yayudjnani nahatebhyah ध्यान विमुक्त भक्ति परमाः प्रेम एकनिष्ठः ततः तेभ्यस्ताः पशुपाल पंकज अदृशस्ताभ्यपि सा राधिका प्रेष्ठा तदीयं तदीय सरसि तामनाश्रयत्यक कृतिः. Translation. In the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, jñānīs, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge, may take to the devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, the one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopīs are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the transcendental cowherd boy. Among the gopīs, Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Kṛṣṇa as this most beloved of the gopīs, who then will not reside at Rādhā-kuṇḍa, and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, aprākṛta-bhāva, render loving service to the divine couple Shri Rādhā-Govinda, who perform their aṣṭa-kālīya-līlā, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Rādhā-kuṇḍa are the most fortunate people in the universe. Such a profound shloka. Karmebhyah parito harehe priyataya vyaktim yayo jñānīnās tebhyo jnana vimukta bhakti parma prema ekaniष्ठः tatah tebhyatah pashupalah pankaj drashas tabhyo api sa radhika prestha tadvad iyam tadiya sarasi tam nashrayat krati. So, karmibhya paritah harehe. Karmibhya means than all fruitive workers in all respects. Paritaha harehe, by the Supreme Personality of God. Priyataya, because of being favored. And where is it mentioned? Vyaktim yayuhu. It is said in the Shastras that jñānīnah, those who are advanced in knowledge, superior to them, dhyana vimukta, tebhyaha, liberated by knowledge, dhyana vimukta, bhakti parama. So who is superior to the dhyana vimukta are bhakti parama, those engaged in devotional service. And who attains pure love of God, prema ekaniष्ठः, tataha, superior to them, tebhyah, better than them, taha, who pashupala pankaja drashah, the gopis who are always dependent on Krishna, the cowherd boy, pashupala, tabhyah, above all of them, certainly api Shri Radhika, Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, prestha, very dear, iyam tadiya sarasi, her lake, Shri Rādhā-kuṇḍa, tam na ashrayat, would take shelter of. So, karmebhya paritah hare priyataya vyaktim yayuha jñānīnah tebhyah jnana vimukta bhakti paramaha preme kanishtaha tatah tebhyatah pashupala pankaj drusha tabhyo api sa radhika preshta tad avadiyam tadiya sarasi tamna shrayat kruti. Such a wonderful shloka, which is making us understand so many aspects. If you go through the purport clearly, it is in fact giving us how the bhakti is going to progress from vikarmi to karmi to jnani to bhakta to the gopis and the topmost Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. So anyone who is acting without any Vedic knowledge or not appreciating saintly persons, taking birth repeatedly, they are all vikars. Karmis, those who are acting according to Vedic knowledge, they are elevated to higher planets. But then they return back to the Mrityu. Jñānīs, they come to the platform of Atma Tattva, knowledge. No fruitive activities are binding, so they are superior to karmas. But unless they take to devotional service, they are still in avidya. And above, better than jñānīs are the bhakta, who perform devotional service under regulative principles. And then the Shuddha Bhakta, they develop pure love of Godhead, just like Narada, Shanaka, and Sanatana. And the best among the devotees are the gopīs, because only know how to satisfy Krishna. They do not expect anything in return from Krishna. They are most exalted of all devotees because they cannot forget Krishna. And they are always serving in the mood of separation. Vipralamba seva. And same mood was exhibited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he says that service in the mood of separation is better than serving time. And best amongst the gopīs is Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, highest of all gopīs. And no one can excel her. Even Krishna cannot understand her. And that is why he came in the form of Lord Chaitanya, in her complexion, to understand her prema. And Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī's love is exhibited by Rādhā-kuṇḍa. It is Radharani's lake, as we saw yesterday. Most exalted place. Lagu Bhagavatamrut Uttarakhanda 45th Shloka clearly mentions this. And so a serious devotee must take shelter and execute service there. Such a wonderful shloka. The conclusion of the shloka is that everyone interested in Krishna consciousness should ultimately take shelter of Radha Krishna and execute devotional service there throughout one's life. This is the conclusion of Rupa Goswami in 10th verse of Updesha. So let us understand what Prabhupada ji is talking about each one of them in detail. So Prabhupada ji starts the discussions with about the karmis. So as we know, everyone today is a karmi, because they are working, they are waiting for some material profit. They are all fruitive workers who have come under the spell of Maya. And they're rightly explained in Vishnu Purana as well. Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Kshetradnakya Tatha Para Avidya Karma Sandhaya Tritiya Shakti Ishyate. So, everyone who has come in this third Shakti, they are karmis. Now, what is this third Shakti? Let us revise that once again. So, Krishna's energies are divided into three kinds: spiritual energy, marginal energy, and material energy. And this material energy is the third class energy, Tritiya Shakti. So, everyone who is living in the jurisdiction of this material energy engage themselves working very hard for sense gratification. However, we get nothing out of it. For some, after executing pious activities, some may become strongly attracted to performing various kinds of yajnas. So on the basis of such merits, they will then get elevated to the higher planets. In fact, it is mentioned that those who perform the yajnas, according to Vedic injunctions, are elevated to moon and planets above the moon. But then, as soon as their pious activities results are over, they fall down. Kshine punya mrityalokam vishanti. This is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So, they again return to the earth, which is the Martyaloka, place of death. So, though we may be elevated to the heavenly planets by pious activities, we may enjoy life there for thousands of years, but nonetheless return when the results of the pious activities are exhausted. This is the position of all karmis, including everyone. So, if we find so many politicians, so many socialists, they act piously, but then they are trying to gain material happiness. They are trying to gain money, considering that if we have money, we will be happy. But then they get nothing. They are all gross materialist or karmis. And vikarmis are those who act according to the guidance of Vedic knowledge. So, if on the basis of Vedic knowledge, they are performing the yajnas for satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and then receiving benedictions from him. So, then they are getting elevated to the higher planetary system, these Vikarmas, because they are faithful to the directions of Vedas. So, Krishna says, "Ye yatha mam prapadyante tathataiva bhajami aham." So, he fulfills the desires of cognizant plans. But as soon as the fruitive activities are over, then they have to come back. But those who are engaged in impious activities, they will be degraded further. From human life form, they will go into the animal life form, maybe dogs, trees, or animals. So even these fruitive actors who do not care for Vedic instructions, they are not appreciated. In fact, in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, Nunam pramattah kurute vikarma yad indriya pritiya pranoti na sadhu manne yatha atmanayam asana api kleshada ashadeha. Materialists who work like dogs and hogs, Nunam pramattah kurute vikarma, simply for sense gratification, are actually mad. They simply perform all kinds of abominable activities simply for sense gratification. Materialist activities are not at all worthy of an intelligent man, for as a result of such activities, one gets a material body which is full of misery. Nasadhu manneta atmanoyam ashan api kleshada ashadeha. So actually the purpose of human life is to get out of these threefold miserable conditions, which is actually concomitant with material existence. But unfortunately, fruitive workers are trying hard to earn money, acquiring temporarily material comforts. And so they take the risk of being degraded to lower species. Materialists foolishly are making plans to become happy. They do not stop to consider that they will live only for a certain number of years, out of which they are spending major portion in acquiring money for sense gratification. And ultimately, all such activities end in death. These people do not know that after giving up this body, they may become engaged as lower animals, plants, or trees. So, whatever we are doing is simply defeating the purpose of life. Not only are they born ignorant, but they're acting on the platform of ignorance, thinking that they are getting material benefits in the type of, say, better mobiles, 6G, 7G, 5G, skyscraper buildings, big cars, honorable positions. But what about the next life? They can be degraded. And all activities simply serve as parabhava, defeat. Parabhava tavad abodha jatam. Actually, this is the verdict given in Śrīmad Bhagavatam. So it is important that we should be very eager to know about Atma Tattva. Because unless we come to the platform of Atma Tattva, by understanding that soul and not the body is one self, we remain on the platform of ignorance. And it is out of thousands and even millions of ignorant people that one can come to the platform of knowledge and understand the higher value. Such persons are called as jñānīs. So the jñānī knows that fruitive activities will bind him, cause him to transmigrate from one body to another. Sharira bandha, bound to bodily existence. They understand that as long as they maintain any conception of sense enjoyment, the mind will be absorbed with karma, fruitive activity, and then this will oblige him to transmigrate from one body to another. Tatha dehantara prapti. These jñānīs, they understand all these aspects, and so they are considered superior to others because they refrain from bland activities of sense enjoyment. So, though jñānī may be liberated, from ignorance, unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, he is still in ignorance, avidya. So, though a person can be jnani or advanced in knowledge, the knowledge is considered impure because no information of devotional service, and so neglecting direct worship of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, that is defeating the purpose of our human life. So, even jnanis, they are not good. Even being a jnani is not solving our objective of life. But then, when a jnani takes to devotional service, he becomes superior to ordinary jnani. So, he is then called as Jnana Vimukta Bhakti Paramaha. So, how is it that the jnani takes to Bhakti? So, Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanamam Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he was actually in knowledge, surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So actually a person is wise when he's surrendering unto the lotus feet of Krishna. But such Mahatma or great soul, as is mentioned in this Bhagavatam Shloka, is very, very rare. So Prabhupada ji mentions in the purport that after taking to devotional service and following the regulative principles, a person may come to the platform of spontaneous love of Godhead because they are following in the footsteps of great devotees, Narad, Shanaka, Sanatana. So then God recognizes them to be superior. And the devotees who have developed love of Godhead are certainly in an exalted position. So see, better than jnani are the bhakta. Even of all the bhaktas, the gopis are recognized as superior because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna. And they do not expect anything in return from Krishna. In fact, if you see the whole Krishna Leela, you will see that Krishna puts gopis into extreme suffering by separating himself from them. But still, they cannot forget Krishna. When Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, the gopis became very dejected, spent the rest of their lives crying in separation from Krishna. So, though physically Krishna was not there, what this means is the gopis were actually neverly separated from Krishna because they're continuously thinking of Krishna. And so it is mentioned there is no difference between thinking of Krishna and associating with. In fact, Vipralambha Seva, thinking of Krishna in separation, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, is far better than serving Krishna directly. And hence, of all the devotees who have developed prema bhakti towards Krishna, the gopis are most exalted. So if you are considering everyone who has got unalloyed devotional service, devotional love for Krishna, the gopis are the best. And even amongst the gopis, Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī is the highest, most exalted. No one can excel the devotional service of Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Indeed, even Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. And therefore, he took her position and appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just to understand her transcendental feelings. So, Rupa Goswami ji mentions that Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī is the most exalted devotee of Krishna. And her Kunda, the Rādhā-kuṇḍa, is the most exalted place. So, this is also mentioned in Laghu Bhagavatamrit, Uttarakhand. यथा राधा प्रिया विष्णु तस्या कुंडम प्रियम तथा सर्व गोपीषु सेवैका Vishnu Atyanta Vallabha. Just as Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī is dear to the Supreme Lord Kṛṣṇa Vishnu, so her bathing place Rādhā-kuṇḍa is equally dear to Kṛṣṇa. Among all the gopis, she alone stands supreme as the Lord's most beloved. And that is why we have to have a lot of attitude just like the gopis. And so Prabhupada ji mentions that we have to be servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis. And that is why whatever Radharani mentions, Krishna immediately accepts. And so bhakti, if is to be obtained, it can be obtained only by recommendation of Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, as we have understood in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu sessions. So we have to develop this attitude of humility, of being servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And it is only then that we have an opportunity that will develop that love, that kind of attraction, that attachment towards Rādhā-kuṇḍa. And then I don't think there would be any intelligent person who would say no to reside there and serve Rādhā-Govinda together. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaya vacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo